Rogers with another episode of Out and Up, where we encourage young people to achieve their very best outside of the game. Today, we not only have one, but we have two awesome guests. And these two, I promise you, are probably the most, special to me just in the connection. We're going to get into it. This is going to be a very laid-back show as I build with my two brothers that's on here today. But y'all know how we do. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, how you doing? I want to introduce my boy, 25 years of friendship, James Magazine, head current coach of Eastside High School, also a mentor, father, educator, and so forth.
My turn to introduce my boy, Roger Alexander, 1995 graduate of Eastside High School, 1999 graduate of University of Tennessee. I'm now currently the Dean of Discipline at Eastside High School and also a football coach as well.
Wow. Those are my two brothers. Now, y'all know, normally when I do the show, I typically had a button up on, trying to do the little casual thing. But this show, like I told y'all, is going to be so laid back. I had to go in the closet and find something. So today I said, I'm not about to sit here looking all tight with a button down on. I had to pull out the orange and blue because these are my two brothers. I've already interviewed someone that's from Eastside, someone that's from Patterson. However, these are my two brothers that I was on the field with for 4 years, both James and Ra. And we're just gonna get into this interview and just start peeling back some layers. You've heard a little bit of both of what both of them do. However, we're gonna touch on them from a coaching standpoint, as well as their history in playing sports in Patterson. And we're just gonna go down memory lane, and I guarantee you will enjoy this message and also be able to find little pieces that you'll be able to give to other young athletes that I believe will help them in their journey and achieving their best outside of the game. So, brothers, y'all ready to get into this conversation?
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll start with let's go with Jay first. Jay, you're currently coaching, but let's take it back a little bit. When did you start playing sports, Jay?
I started playing sports at the age of actually 7. Age of 7. I was in school one day. One of my teachers walked up to me and said, "You like a basketball player? Come play basketball." Didn't know anything about basketball. From there on, just took off from there.
Okay, cool. What else did you play besides basketball, like in your youth, prior to high school? What else did you play?
Basketball, baseball, and football. You named it, I did it.
All right. And you, Ra, when did sports start for you?
Yeah, around probably about the same age, like 6 or 7. Played football around that age. Just regular pick up and tackle right on the lawn, right outside the house. That's how I started.
Okay. All right. And so both of y'all started at a young age. Now, I know different. A lot of my interviews, I've interviewed people from the Georgia area, the South Carolina area, and they always have that story about transitioning from elementary to middle school. However, for us, it was a straight K through 8, and then we went into high school. So as you got ready to go to high school, did both of you pretty much play different sports going up to high school, or you kind of had locked down to one sport before entering high school?
I played all 3 sports entering high school.
Right? Yeah, the same thing for me. I played all 3 sports entering high school.
All right. So when my connection comes in with the brothers, I didn't play all my life. I met these two brothers freshman year at Eastside High School. I had no connection with them prior to going to Eastside High School. But in 91, we both entered, all 3 of us entered Eastside High School as freshmen. And I was blessed to play freshman ball with Ra and with James. And then it was just relationship from that point on. So as you both, I guess, went through high school, you both end up doing different things. So Jay, let's talk about baseball for a little while. You played baseball. Did you play baseball all 4 years, or just when you entered Eastside?
I played 2.5 years. There's a little story to tell about that. Where I got kicked off of the baseball team. Okay. Disciplinary action was kind of basically like a life-changing experience for me.
Okay. You want to give the kids a little bit of that story?
A little bit of the story, just the clean version. Playing baseball for actually one of my mentors, Assembly Wembley at the time. We actually were out of the country in Puerto Rico in a national tournament. We had got into an argument and things kind of went left. I was kicked off the team. At that point in time, I was feeling myself, wasn't humble enough to apologize to the point that he had to let me go. Gotcha. And that play kind of led me to basically ending my high school career in terms of playing baseball. It's just, I think everything in life happens for a reason. I'm just a firm believer in God. it actually kind of led me more towards football because I thought my ticket to college was baseball at that point in time, but it wound up being, football.
Okay. All right. Cool.
By force.
Say that again.
By force.
Oh, I got you. So prior to high school, you just said it. If left up to you, I guess basically baseball would have been the thing you kind of rode all the way out.
Yes, sir.
All right. So when you finally kind of recognized that you were done with baseball, what was that transition like?
I mean, it was rough. Honestly, being young at that time, not understanding the message behind Mr. Wembley and released me from the team. I was a little salty at the time. I always kind of took books. I took books strongly because my parents were from the South. They didn't play that, bring home poor grades. So academics was always held high in my household. I remember this conversation. I think the end of my junior year, my mother told me, you had 3 options. You're going to go to the service, you're going to work, or you're going to go to school. I wasn't doing the service, so those 2 options were left. So,
got you. So cool. We're gonna come back to you, Jay. But so for you, Ra, as you enter Eastside, what was your mindset as far as playing sports and even playing sports past high school? Was there a specific sport that you was kind of focusing on, kind of riding out to the end?
Well, I started off with 2 sports. I was doing football and basketball, and then that third one came in as the years went on, as far as track was concerned. But when I first came in, it was just those 2. I was kind of really focused on, and then really was thinking about, was I going to go to college at all? Not in the early stages of it anyway, not the first 2 years of it. I kind of was one of those at-risk kids. So I kind of majority of the time been in the streets. That's where I was at, you know what I'm saying? And
Gotcha.
Football was just an outlet for me, to let some of the steam and some of the things that I was going through as the time progressed.
Right. That's cool. And I could tell you from the experience instantly, Ra was that person, like Jay said, probably definitely for us, one of the best we saw come through Eastside. And I'm gonna skip and we're gonna go back, but I will always remember this. And I said, Ra will never know this, but when you're around people that you see the greatness in, sometimes when they don't even see it in themselves, it causes you to step up. I can remember our senior year, for some reason, we were short on players, so I always played on the scout team when we were doing, the starting D. But for some reason, it's one practice, instead of playing my position at center, for some reason, the coaches or myself decided to go out to tackle. And what I don't know is, I said, guess what? This is my college moment right here. Because I knew that brother was so good and he was going to the next level. I don't know, I probably moved fast at that tackle position than ever in my life. I said, if they never gave him work in practice, I'm going to give him work this practice. And I was trying everything to make sure that dude ain't get in the backfield. But it was because I knew that dude was great. I knew that dude was going to the next level. And so it pushed me in that practice. If I never did it before, it pushed me to give my teammate my very best. I ain't never played tackle before. But that practice, I was a tackle because that was my moment of being in college. So if Ra didn't know it, your brothers saw the greatness in you, man. So it was definitely awesome to see Ra go to the next level. So as we get through Eastside, Jay, post baseball, now you're focusing on football. As you're focusing on football and really learning and fleshing out things in the game and accepting that baseball is kind of gone, are you thinking, and you say your junior, senior year, are you thinking about playing on the next level?
Absolutely not. Being a kid from Patterson, we never kind of envisioned next level because not too many people from here made it out.
Right.
Especially, you play ball due to sports, so it's just like something that just happened by the grace of God. It actually fell into our laps.
Okay. So at what point do you start to recognize, hey, I guess there's an extension to this football thing beyond Eastside?
Honestly, it didn't hit home big till after we played in the Paul Robeson game, and I got that letter from American International College where I attended school at, like, you report to camp, whatever the date was, say August 2nd. I was like, this is real now.
Right. Got you. And so, Ra, I think the story was a little different for you. Like we said, the accolades that you received. And I think if I give Ra an opportunity to talk about his status in school, Jay, if I'm correct, Rob probably gonna be too humble to really lay it out. So Jay, I'm gonna ask you, the brother that we play with that's sitting next to you. Let's talk about the things that he did on the high school level and at Eastside.
Honestly, we have a lot of D1 players that came from us, from Henry Baker to Zatiti Moody to before us, you know, to even some pros that played, the McDonald's brothers that played. So there's always arguments of who is the best player to ever come out of Eastside. And it goes by eras, kind of like the Michael Jordan, Kobe thing to now LeBron.
Right.
But in our era, the best person to ever put on that orange and blue is next to me, Mr. Roger Alexander. His junior year, he's actually National Defensive Gatorade Player of the Year, which has never been done around here. I mean, I remember walking to school one morning and seeing my friend on the side of the New Jersey Transit bus going down Broadway. We didn't have cell phones in that time, but it was like, I was like in awe. He didn't believe it. I actually was. I told you, like, yo, you on the side of the bus. He was like, what? Man, like, it was just looking back at the memories and the greatness, like really shocking when it's your best friend and he's just a regular average dude, and very humble. You understand what I'm saying? So just to see what he did is just like shocking. I'm talking a little bit too much. Big, you remember our freshman year when we played Paramus at the stadium?
Uh-huh.
Kid from Paramus and knocked his helmet sideways, and the kids run up the stands and took him. That was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You tell the people in college, they do not believe me. They're like, it's not. I'm like, I'm telling you, it happened.
Right. And it's funny because Ra in school, Ra done buffed up and everything through college and everything. But in school, I was all about 5'7", but I stayed easily 250. We played in the Robeson Classic. I was up to like 289. So I was always the little fat, short butterball. But Ra was the 6'3", probably 150 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
but real. I ain't want to do no hitting drills with Ra. So the brother bought it, and Ra was legit in his game, and just the gift that he was blessed to have. And so Jay just touched on it. So Jay, you were the Gatorade Defensive Player of the Year, and then you went on to first play out of Eastside. Where did you go first, Ra?
I went to Nassau Community College, and that was due to the grades, man. Like I said, I was one of the kids that was always in the streets. I didn't really take education seriously until my junior year. Mm-hmm. Like Max, I had two choices. It was either go to junior college or go to prep school. And my mom said, no, you're not going to prep school. You're going to graduate. So I graduated high school, and I went to 2-year school in Nassau.
That's cool. And so Ra is that example, again, the young athlete that we're trying to really reach. Ra is that example of, despite the environment that he came out of in Patterson, like he said, it wasn't even a push to really go to the next level because of what he was around. But the quote, y'all hear me repeat it a million times when I've gone out and spoke on different arenas, working in detention, and now even when I speak now, is the Stephen Covey quote that says, I'm not a product of my circumstances, but I'm a product of my decisions. And so Ra easily, with all the gifts and the talent that he had, he still could have ended up stuck in Patterson, still fighting in the streets, ended up locked up. Anything could have happened. But the brother still kept his head. He moved on to junior college. And after the 2 years in junior college, you then end up going to what university, Ra?
University of Tennessee.
University of Tennessee. Tell me some of the things you were able to experience going to a big D1 school like that.
Yeah, it was an eye-opener for me, especially a culture change. I wasn't used to seeing certain things, hearing people talk certain ways. The language barrier was crazy. The first 2 months, I couldn't go to sleep because it was too quiet. So coming from a city where you used to hearing gunshots, people yelling and screaming all night in the background, to where you hearing crickets, it's a change, you know, especially culture as far as the music is concerned. I'm listening to one music, I'm listening to a different music, and I'm like, I can't distinguish what's going on.
Right, got you.
Like a few months, then I get it. I'm like, oh, okay. The slang is different, you know, the way we use words are different, you know what I'm saying? So I had to get used to all this stuff within a few months of me being there, just to understand what everybody else is doing. Okay. So that was real big for me.
Cool. So Ra, real quick, talk to the young man or the young lady who comes from a similar situation like we experienced in Patterson. And I know your story probably different than mine, so I could never claim to have had the struggles that you have. All of our lives on different levels come from different situations. But to the young person that's come from a similar situation and they have that gift to at least ride out the sport that they playing, to go to another level, what can you give them to stay focused, not on their circumstances and their life that's going on around them, but utilizing that gift to be their ticket out? What could you give that young person, man?
Well, I say for myself, man, it was the people I was around. You know what I'm saying? There's two sets of people. You got those people that you hang with, you know that's gonna do the wrong thing, and you got those people you hang with that's gonna do the right thing. It's a pattern of picking your poison. You know what I'm saying? I chose to do the right thing because it felt good when I did it. And
Gotcha.
those people that I had behind me as a support system kept me on float all the time. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it got to the point where I was hanging with my friends in the hood, and then I was hanging with my football friends. Totally two different people, night and day. My friends in the hood, we always in trouble. And I say this to kids as I speak to you now. You know, you could be the best athlete in the world. You ain't got the grades and everything else, nothing's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And I tell that all the time. But me hanging with the bad friends, man, it got to the point where I just kind of I did a 180. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Because I just stopped doing the bad things because I know it was bad, and I was hanging with some good people that was doing good things, and I felt good about doing it. So I made that transition. I didn't even know I transitioned, man. I just kind of like stopped hanging with my friends that I grew up in the hood with. But
Okay.
they still were my friends, and then they saw that in me. Then they said, you know what, Rob? Yo, man, we got your back. Go get it, man. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
that gave me the encouragement for myself to say, you know what? Let me see how far I can go with this.
Got you.
Like I said, I was one of those kids where my friends had to come get me for school, man. That's how it was. They had to wake me up in the morning, and if I didn't want to go, I tell them I ain't going. No, they want to fight me. Like, yo, we're gonna fight you. I say to myself, man, it's 7 of these guys right now, man. I ain't fighting. Let me get up and go to school. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? That support
Got you.
system is definitely a positive, man.
That's good. That's good, man. Well, we're gonna continue getting into man. Between the both of you brothers, I know there's some awesome things the young people gonna be able to get out of this interview. But Jay, let's get back to you on the AIC level. What was that transition like? You know, going from Eastside to now, you know, being at AIC and playing on the college level. What was that transition like for you, man?
I mean, the football transition actually was pretty easy. I think it was kind of like a culture shock. I went to a predominantly white school. And also we had a lot of exchange students there as well. And then from the coaching aspect, I've never played for any coach other than an African-American coach.
Got you.
So when you got to school and playing for white coaches, when it just becomes a business, it's like it really kind of humbled you and made you kind of grow up fast. And it makes you look back at, you know, the coaches that we had in our past, you know, just to name drop the Barry Rossers, the Donald Davises, the Benji Wimbleys, when they used to get on your back, now you really understood that was love, because when you go to the next level, it's like, it's a business. They don't really care too much about you. You know what I'm saying? So
True.
it made you grow up. And I mean, you look back at it, I mean, I'm blessed because it made me diverse, especially in the field that I work in. You have to be diverse, you know.
That's good, man. We definitely were blessed to have some coaches. Like it's some things that happened in those locker rooms just as far as them getting on us and addressing some stuff. I may didn't get it as bad as some, but I've had them in my face, but at the end of the day, we know it was love, man. Like the every one of them coaches we had coaches that cared about our lives outside. And I can remember Coach D saying to me, even when grades was dropping, like, Antoine, you in school every day. You ain't even cutting or nothing. Like, what's up with these classes? What's up with, And he got on me, was like, yo, you need to straighten that out. And so he got on me. I think it might have been a moment my mom was ready to yank me for a second. But Coach D got on me, and I was able to survive and get through those last 4 years. And we may go back to some sports stuff later. It's hard not to. But let's wrap it up with all three of us being on this call, being blessed to play post our 4 years at Eastside and All-Star games, man. Like, so I know me and Jay played in the Robeson Classic. Jay, was that Robeson Classic that year we played? Was that the first one?
Right, that was the inaugural Classic, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that was the inaugural, man. I was blessed a few years ago to actually, 2 years ago, to come back up there because my son was also blessed to play in it just recently. But what was that experience like, man? Just being blessed to not only be able to do those 4 years at Eastside, but then being picked to be able to play, you know, against some of the better players throughout the area. What was that experience for you, Jay?
Me, I mean, like the culture and the values that we were instilled with us with orange and blue. I'll be honest with you, I didn't care about nobody else. It was me, you, blue again. That's all we cared about. It was orange and blue. So we weren't really speaking to anybody. You know, we were
Right.
guys. Remember the guy from Shabazz, you know, going at
Yeah.
we just were tough kids. I mean,
Yeah.
from the karate, I was just there to play ball. I'm just
Right. And it was funny, man, because it really pulled out, man, that pride of Eastside. Like it was like these are not the schools that we was playing against every game or every year. Like this was a different group of guys. Some of them came from backgrounds similar to ours. So we knew we couldn't intimidate nobody. We had to play. But I remember digging down into my Eastside blood. And on first couple snaps, I don't even remember what school the dude was from.
I remember.
I think he might have been from Shabazz. That first couple plays, that neck snap back, and that dude was like, yo, like he knew I wasn't joking the rest of that game.
Yeah.
But it pulled that out of us. Like you said, you hit on it. Like, man, just the pride of where we was from. Like, and that's why I said I had to rock the jersey, man, because I'll never forget All Us We, man. I'll never forget, you know, the Public Enemy songs when we came out. I'll never forget that, man. Like that East Side thing will always be in my blood. So, Ra, you was blessed to make it on even another level, playing in the big game. So what was that like playing in the North South, man? The top players in New Jersey. What was it like playing in that game against some of the top talent in New Jersey our senior year?
Yeah, it was cool for me, man. Like I met a lot of people, man, a lot of great guys there. Like Max said, it was very competitive, man. I could recall a practice we going against Rashidi Brown from Hackensack. And man, he came down on a sweep, man. I hit him full speed. I didn't even know we were going half speed because I'm not used to going half speed. I hit him full throttle. Boom. Coach called practice. Stop practice. They quit practice. And I was kind of shocked because I'm like, yo, he's like, no, we're not going like that. Like, you know, we're not doing full speed. We don't. I say, I'm not used to, you know, tiptoeing. Like I can't do that's not in me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was kind of one of the things. So after that hit, man, I guess me and Rashidi became real good friends, man. He went on to Clemson and everything, and we still kept in contact. And I still kept in contact with some of the guys. But like Max said, we were very competitive, man. We wanted to show everybody, like, look, man, this Eastside, this is our pride. This is what we do. And, but as an overall experience, man, I think it was real great, man.
Right. And I will say, if I was in that game, I probably would have felt the same way because what we all know as Ghosts is that we smelled the playoffs before.
Yeah.
And it was us having to deal with that Hackensack squad. So hey, Rod, thank you for hitting them like that. Thank you for hitting them like that. And Rashidi, I still got love for you, bro, but we had to get that one in.
Yeah,
we had to get that one in. But hey, as you all know, at this point in the show, we always take a break to go to a quick commercial break. After this, we'll be right back to finish interviewing my brothers. Brothers, thank y'all for the questions y'all have answered so far, and we'll be back right after this. So welcome back to the second half of this show, again, Out and Up, where we're encouraging young people to achieve their very best outside of the game. If you've been watching or listening, you know we have two awesome guests, two brothers of mine that I was able to play 4 years with at Eastside High School in Patterson, James Magazine and Roger Alexander. And so we talked a lot about their history and playing the game from youth to high school and even the college transition. So we just going to get into a little more of the college from the academic end, and then we just going to get right into what they're doing today. So, Jay, on the academic end, what was that transition like, leaving Eastside and then going to AIC? What was that like?
Academically, honestly, Eastside kind of prepared me. I think our senior year, we had some honors classes. I mean, academics was never rough for me. So it wasn't a tough transition for me.
Okay.
Not bragging, but just my parents just instilled education in me at an early age. So it was early just, study habits and things of that nature, staying on top of my work. And, my mother's an accountant, so everything's about time management, money management. So, the transition actually was a little easier for me.
Cool. So Rod, you leave Eastside, you do the 2 years at JUCO, and the junior college you was in what state again?
It was in New York,
In
Long
New York.
Island. Yeah.
So was the classes, was it a big difference leaving from Eastside? I know then you've already touched on it, just your focus wasn't necessarily there on the academic end. So when you get to college, what was that like getting through the classes so that you can make sure you continue playing? What was that transition like for you?
Like I said, for me, man, like I said, high school, I left there. I started to take the education seriously around my junior year. So when I graduated and went to Nassau, I was still kind of behind because I transitioned, but I had messed up on some of those years, my sophomore and my freshman year. So I had to make up a lot of stuff, man. So I went to class from 8 in the morning to 12 afternoon. And I came back 6 to 10 at night just to complete the 2 years of 66 credits before I move on to the University of Tennessee. So it was kind of humble for me, you know what I'm saying? To take that action, not to be with my boys when they partying. I'm in earth science, you know what I'm saying? So I had to sacrifice.
Got you.
To get those where I wanted to be.
All right. So we fast forward. You make it through the 2 years at Nassau. Now you at Tennessee, big D1 school. Like, what was it? A big jump then? Like where were you at? How did you transition going to a big D1 school in Tennessee?
Well, it's totally different from the junior college. Everything is A1. We had tutors every day. We had to be there. Everybody checked up on you, make sure everything was on point. But me, I had an attitude that my academics was going to come first. So my first semester there, I had a 3.0, and I maintained that while I was there. And if we didn't, it was consequences. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had to be on top of my studies. I stay where I need to be. If I didn't know something, I asked questions. I got help. That's pretty much how I focused and stayed on top of my academics while I was there.
Okay. All right. So y'all both make it through the college realm, and once college is ending, you recognize you're coming down to the last stretch. What is the focus now on? Like, man, what I'm gonna do leaving out of school? And we gonna get to you, Ross, second. But Jay, what was your focus as you ending, your years at AIC? What was your focus then?
I mean, honestly, I was just living day by day. I'm like, all right, I got my degree. Came home, sitting around the house for 2 weeks. My mother like, you got to start applying for some jobs. So, all right, Mom, I'm gonna go start applying for some jobs. The first thing I did was I applied at 90 Delaware, of course, to be a substitute teacher in the district. That's what everybody does when we come back home. And I also applied at a group home that's pretty much 10 blocks away from where I was born and raised. I applied there. I got the phone call from them that same day I applied, and I was hired and started that following Monday. So it's actually like a residential facility for at-risk youth. Been there for 22 years. And I mean, by the grace of God, about 13 years ago, I became the boss of the place where I'm at now.
Wow, that's awesome. What did you actually major in, Jay?
Sociology and education.
Okay, and Rob, what did you major in while you was in school?
Political science and urban studies.
All right. So for you, Rob, now you getting down to the end. Now y'all won a national championship. Was it your junior year or senior year?
My junior year.
Junior year.
98, yeah.
All right. So you moving on to your senior year, season over with, you're in the last stretch. Like, what is your focus now? Like, what's your plans? Is it straight focus on NFL? Like, what was your thought pattern as you realized, okay, my time at Tennessee is coming to an end? What was your thought pattern?
Like you said, my focus was NFL draft, getting ready for the combine and so forth. That was my main focus. Academics was on point already. That was it. So I just kind of focused on that as my intention. This was get it done.
Okay. So you're done. It is time to get to that line when you have an opportunity to take it to another level. And what happens after Tennessee? What is your story after Tennessee?
Okay, so what happened was I get into a car accident my junior year. I didn't play my senior year. So everything was based off my junior year in order for me to move on. So I declared for the draft. I ended up not getting drafted because of that incident. So what happened was I rehabbed. I came back. I ended up going to NFL Europe. So Barcelona. So I ended up going to Barcelona. I got hurt in Barcelona. I kept getting hurt and injured, man. So you know what I said? I'll say, you know what? It's time. This is time for me to shut it down. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep injuring my body and getting hurt. So after that, I came back. Funny, when I came back, I wanted to work with kids. So I reached out to Mag. Mag put in an interview, did a job, ended up working there. And I've been
that's
there.
not what happened. We came home, right?
Oh,
yeah, they gonna tell us.
Nah, yeah, you got
it. They gonna tell us how the story. So we had a club around the way that was really big back in the day. So everybody kept talking like this club had this really big bouncer there. They're like, yo, this bouncer is big. So everybody like, what are you talking about? So one night I get on work, I go to the club. Who was at the door security? Roger Alexander. I'm like, Rob, what are you doing here? So we talking, you know what I'm saying? We already had numbers. He was like Rob was like at that time, like ashamed to be like his. And I'm like, Rob, call me on Monday. I said, Rob, this ain't for you. The next day, that Monday call, by that Wednesday, he was working with us. And then the story just goes from there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, man.
Cool. Rod trying to hold out on the story, huh?
Well, I forgot it's been a long time. Like he was talking about how big this bouncer was in the club.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember that too. Wow, boy.
That's good. That's cool. That's good, man. So, at this point now, y'all both working together, at the same group home, and now at this point, you initially get to a point where you're able to kind of give back and kind of pour into young people. So, what was that experience like? Now, are you both there still?
Yeah. No, I'm at Patterson Public School, Eastside High School now.
Okay, and Jay, you still there though?
Yeah. At this point in time, you dating back to when we got into coaching, me and Rob was working in the district as a teacher and also at the group home kind of part time, making some extra money giving back. So
okay,
we actually got into coaching as a favor. So one of our mentors, Dr. Glisson, actually passed away 2 years ago. Came to us one day and was like, I need a favor from you guys. So we're like, what's up? He's like, I need freshman coaches. So he's one of them guys that when they ask you for a favor, you can't say no. So it's like, oh boy, here we go. So we had that freshman class. I mean, we did really well that year. We actually won the conference championship with that class. And man, 12 years later, here we are. Got kind of the next year promoted to the varsity ranks, and it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah.
All right. So it'd be safe to say that neither one of you, I guess, post college really had the mindset that, hey, I'm gonna start coaching. Neither one of you probably really had that on your list.
Nah,
I
didn't either.
But now coaching, what has been the joy and the experience of being able to pour back into young people like ourselves? Like, what has that experience been like? Either one of y'all can answer that. What has that experience been like?
I want Rod to go first. And y'all answer.
Nah, just for me, man, it's just been wonderful, man. Just to give back to the kids that grew up the same way I did, and I can totally understand where they're coming from. I think people have a misconception of when they say inner city kids, they don't know the kids, they don't have a rapport with the kids, they don't know where they come from. So sometimes they can't relate to some of the situations that they go through on a daily basis. So I can relate and understand where they're coming from, and I know how to handle and how to speak to them to get them to be motivated to do something better. Because if you don't take a kid out of that environment that's been in trouble for 15, 16 years, that's all that kid knows, to do what he's been doing for the last 15, 16 years until somebody introduces him to doing something different. When you introduce them to something different and they like it, they're going to stick with it.
Got you. That's good. That's good. What you got, Jay?
My football story is a little bit different. It's crazy. Like maybe like 3 years ago, I had one of my players at the end of practice asked me about football, how I got into it. I can't stand football. I'm just being honest. It's one of those things that I was decent at, kind of paid for my education. And even getting into coaching, I didn't enjoy coaching. I still don't enjoy coaching. I love giving back to the community, kind of change these young men's lives. It's still in discipline. And it's one of those things in which we, like Rod's coaches, so we had so many kids go on to D1, come back to the community doing better things. It's like one of those things that you're in that you kind of can't get out of now because we're really trying to change the culture around here. So
right,
love these young men, so we're kind of trapped in. And my wife actually allows me to keep coaching, so it's cool.
That's cool, man. It's awesome because I think all of us, like you all, I think Jay touched on it earlier, going to college, you were able to look back and see the coaches that we had. And so knowing that those coaches care, then you go to another level and you realize it's all a business. So to get to a point that now you have the opportunity to pour back into other young kids, what we were blessed to receive as far as coaches that ultimately care about your life and who you become as a person. It's just awesome that I commend you both on being able to do that. My story on this end, I haven't had the opportunity to really coach yet. I love the mentoring standpoint, but I've been on the law enforcement side, whether it's detention or currently working for a police department now, being able to just find moments that I'm able to kind of pour back into it. I think we all walk away from Eastside with the same heart, wanting to see our environments become better or seeing young people grow to be their very best. And so I commend you both on the sacrifice, because I could look back today, whether it's the Coach Wembley or the Coach Davis, and know that they made sacrifices being out there with us. It takes you away from your household and your family, and you make sacrifices being a coach. So again, I know your young players probably tell you, but I'm going to say I commend you, brothers, for just having the opportunity to do that, especially back at home at Eastside, man. So now today as a coach, you touched on it. You're able to talk to young people and just really talk about life. So I would say first, Jay, I'm gonna ask you, like, what would you say to that young person about putting their academics first?
I mean, it'll save your life and prepare you for the future. I mean, you can't, like, we always stress the word in our program, student athlete. The student comes before the athlete. If you're not doing the education work, you can't make it to the next level. It will be taken away from you. It's real, you know what I mean? It prepares you for life. One thing that you take away from football, and that I've learned and from football, was discipline.
Right.
And that's what I really thank football for, instilling discipline in me.
That's good. So here we go. Towards the end of the show, something I always like to, just touch on, to give young people, how important is it to have, and Rod touched on this earlier, but maybe Jay, you can go a little bit deeper. How important is it to have positive people in your circle?
Very important. I mean, Rod, over 25 years of friendship, Biggs included. Our circle is crazy. Our circle from Patterson is still the same. Our senior class, we still talk, whether it's via Facebook, phone calls, or whatever. What I take from our group is accountability.
Got you.
Like, it's accountability. Like, a real friend is going to tell you when you're right and wrong.
Right.
You may not like it, but that's what real friendship is. Like, you're right and you're wrong, and being there for you. And I
got you.
For the coaches to instill that in us, all us, we trying to instill that in our players as well. So definitely that camaraderie and just being a real friend to a person.
That's good. That's good. Anything you want to add to that, Ra? Just in regards to keeping positive people around you?
He kind of summed it up, man. Like you said, the camaraderie, just being there, holding each other accountable. That's definitely what it's about. Everybody's not gonna tell you the truth, man. You got to know your friends. Everybody's not your friend. You got to know which friends you're gonna get up for you in the middle of the night, which friends you can borrow money from. These are the things that were instilled in us as youngsters, especially coming up the way we came up.
Got you. So for the young man, as coaches, you all know from being coaches, you're watching players, and I know at a high level, you're trying to get every young man to go to college. But at times there's always the one, I was blessed to leave and go to Fayetteville State. Really, I didn't leave. It's funny, Jay said it earlier. I didn't really leave with the thought of playing on the next level. But it was funny, just in me doing my orientation, I ran into the person that was over housing, who ended up being a football coach. And just from me telling him in orientation that I played in New Jersey, I come back and I'm Prop 48 housed with all the football players. And so it's like, dang, I wasn't coming here to play football. But in doing so, I went, and then my story was I was there 3 months, came back home, ended up in Jersey, and life began. But what do you say to the young gentleman, whether he's currently a player, whether he's a player that goes away to school and never plays again? What kind of motivation or encouragement can you give that young player about life after sports? Because many of us that come from that type of area, when you are dependent on that sport to take you to the next level, it's like life is sucked out of you when you find out I can't make it on the college level, or if I make it on the college level, I'm not going to make it any further past there. And then you feel like life is gone. What do you tell a young person to stay motivated on just becoming the best person they can be in life?
Yeah, you want to answer that?
I guess, honestly, Biggs, being disciplined. Me growing up, kind of what kept me grounded was my parents were from the South. They didn't give me a lot. I'm just being real. They worked, they bust their behind to provide. So when all my friends had the Jordans, the this, to that, and Biggs, you can attest, we had the $60 sneakers, and we actually worked at Roy Rogers, remember?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I definitely applaud them for that, because no disrespect to the people coming up amongst us who sold the drugs, who had everything fancy. I mean, the statistics don't lie. They're not doing well. You know what I
Got
mean?
you.
You gotta get out there, grind. You gotta earn it, because
That's true.
the background
They
where you
don't,
came
they
from, you
don't,
have to get
they
out
don't.
there. You have to grind and prove yourself. I mean, and you can fall 1,000 times, but you get back up 1,001, and you keep fighting and you press on.
Got you. Like Jay said, people don't care where you from. Nobody's gonna hand you anything. You have to work for everything that you're gonna get. So that was good. Rod, you had anything on top of that just for the young person that, even touching on your story, man, like you were doing awesome things, Rod, bruh. And just like to know that you played on that high level that you played, even we didn't even touch on the fact that you were able to get a tryout with an NFL team. When you get to that point and you recognize football is done, like speak to that, because there's other people that may struggle with that transition and there's other people that's fine with it. So for you, like talk to that young gentleman or that young lady and them facing that situation of, hey, sports on another level is done now. This is lifetime now. Speak to that young person for me, man.
Yeah, it's a learning experience, man. It's as you go. Everybody not fortunate to have everything, you know what I'm saying? And like you guys touched on it, your support system for me was basically the move. And knowing that I had something to fall back on when I graduated, that I can fall back on that degree or have some type of work ethic that I could provide for myself and my family, if so. It was great to know, man. You know what I said? Football is not going to last forever. You know what I'm saying? NFL don't stand for National Football League. They tell you it stands for not for long, because you can get hurt today and it's over tomorrow. But you still have to live and you have to provide and you have to become that person that everybody thought you was going to become in the first place. You gotta stay with the mental. So I said to myself, you know what, man? No matter what, I'm not gonna give up. You know what I'm saying? You don't give up and you strive for what you want, man. It happens. You speak it into existence. It definitely will happen.
That's good. That's good. So the two brothers in front of me, as we get close to wrapping it up, they're blessed to be coaches. Blessed to be coaches today. So at Eastside, Jay, just tell me a little bit of the turnaround. And I'm gonna touch on the back end, but tell me a little bit of the turnaround from the point you got to Eastside to where the program is at now. Just speak on that real quick.
We had the freshman job, Rob, what was that, 2011? To the 2011 season. Like I said before, we won a conference title. First time that had been done in over 20 years at Eastside in the freshman program. Year two, we got a promotion, brought us up to varsity. We actually coached underneath 4 different head coaches. So every 2 years, it was like a turnover in head coach, in the head coaching job there. Dr. Glisson, like I told you, who passed away, gave us the opportunity to. I had to talk with him. I said, listen, I want to be the head coach here. He's like, you think you're ready? I was like, I don't think I'm ready, but I know that I care about these kids and I think we get the job done. So we got the job, and what year was that, Rod? 2019. In 2019, got the job. We actually qualified for the state playoffs for the first time in over 12 seasons. Last year was a COVID year. We wound up being 6-3. We actually were ranked top 5 in public schools in North Jersey, which hasn't been done in an extremely long time. Currently have about 4 to 5 D1 prospects. I mean, and I like I tell the kids, I mean, I really can care less about football if it makes sense. And I'm being honest with you. I'm about changing lives and making sure that these kids have futures, because these kids that go to school or 5 years down the line, you can ask me what my record was, and I couldn't tell you. But I could tell you the young men that I put in school that have changed the lives of their families and they're able to give back and provide for themselves. I can tell you that.
That's good. That's good. And I think that's awesome to touch on, because many people, whether it's high school, college, or whatever level, you recognize, hey, the sport is done. You both have found ways to still be connected and also give back. And I think that's bigger than anything, because we know, whatever level you make it on is here and then it's gone. But the lives that you impact, that will last forever. And so I believe that's when it's about legacy and really instilling things, because as you instill that in the young people, those young people are turning from the lives they may possibly been heading for, and then they'll come back and they'll touch other lives. So that's why I wanted Jay to touch on that, just the way he's been able to impact the lives as a coach, him and Ra. And so, man, I thank my two brothers for being here. And the last question before we end, I always ask this question. And so, Jay, you could go first. who inspires you in life, man?
I mean, honest with you, my mom. Just hard work, coming from South Carolina, having nothing. My dad as well, the uneducated, worked for Ford Motors, to busting his behind, to, like I said, been there to making $100,000 at Ford Motors. Got on the job, he said, listen, he told me straight up, you go to work every day, you keep your mouth shut, you perform, and things will take off. He never lied. So hard work.
That's good. That's good. And Rob, for you, man, who is it that inspires you in life, man?
Man, I would say my mom's, man, from her, doing what she did, man. My mom used to be a drug addict, man. For her to be clean now for like 20 years is a great inspiration, man. And to see her accomplish something like that, man, is amazing. And that inspired me to continue to do what I do and be the person that I am today, man.
That's good.
Definitely.
That's good, man. Once again, we've had an awesome show. Two brothers, man, that I go back with. It's been a blessing being able to just roll with them today, talk with them. This has been like a reunion. One of those recordings, I don't want to end the show because I, hoping it's not as long for we see each other and talk again. But
yeah, definitely.
What you say?
You need to get up here soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I do. But Rod and James, man, thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for joining us, man.
Thank you for having us, man.
All those that are listening and watching, again, information that if it's not for you, there's a young person that you're connected to from the sports standpoint or even outside of sports that I'm sure there's some things that were said today that will be a blessing to them. So again, it's awesome to be great on the field, in the game, on the court, but let's work at being great in life. So again, let's go out and up. Thank you for joining us and let's have a good one.